Your Social Security check has a problem, and pretending Washington will quietly fix it for you is exactly how seniors end up getting blindsided. The warning being discussed is a 22% cut if Congress does not act, and that is not a tiny trim around the edges. That is the difference between paying the electric bill or falling behind, buying groceries or putting food back, covering medicine or trying to stretch pills because the check did not stretch far enough. So the question is not whether Social Security is important. The real question is, what happens to your household if that check gets cut? And what are you supposed to do right now before politicians let the clock run out? Here is the problem in plain English. Social Security is facing a funding shortfall, and if Congress does nothing, retirees could be forced to absorb the damage through a benefit cut. That means seniors who already paid into the system for 30, 40, or 50 years could be told the money is not there at the full level promised. And the insulting part is that this is not happening because seniors failed. It is happening because Washington kept avoiding the hard fix while regular workers kept paying FICA taxes out of every paycheck. Now the bill is coming due, and the people most at risk are the people least able to absorb the hit. So let's talk about how you are affected, because this is where the story becomes real. If you receive $1,800 a month, a 22% cut could mean losing almost $400 a month. If you receive $2,500, that cut could be around $550 a month. For a senior already living close to the edge, that is not just a number. That is groceries, gas, utilities, prescriptions, insurance, rent, property taxes, and the small emergency fund that disappears the first time the car breaks down. Washington loves to describe these problems with percentages because percentages sound clean. But seniors do not pay bills with percentages. They pay bills with dollars, and those dollars are already tight. That is why the Social Security 2100 Act matters. It is not just another bill sitting in Washington with a polite title. It is one of the proposals that actually puts the fight where it belongs, on whether Congress protects retirees from a cut or keeps allowing wealthier earners to avoid paying into Social Security the same way regular workers do. The transcript says the new version was introduced January 29, 2026, and it is sitting in committee with no vote set. That matters because a bill does not help anyone if it quietly dies while seniors are distracted, confused, or waiting for someone else to push it forward. Here is the money fight hiding underneath the debate. If you make under $184,500, Social Security tax comes out of every dollar you earn. But once earnings go above that cap, the Social Security payroll tax stops applying to additional wages. That means ordinary workers pay into the system all year on their working income, while higher earners eventually pass a line where the tax no longer hits the same way. The Social Security 2100 Act would go after that cap, and it would also apply Social Security taxes to investment income over $400,000. That is the part powerful people do not want to talk about, because a lot of wealth in America does not show up like a normal paycheck. It shows up as investment income, capital gains, and money making more money, while regular workers keep getting taxed before the paycheck even reaches the bank. Now, here is what the bill could do for regular seniors. The transcript says the bill includes about a 2% benefit increase, and it would change the cost of living formula to better reflect what older Americans actually spend money on. That matters because seniors are not imagining the squeeze. Healthcare, groceries, rent, insurance, and utilities do not move like some neat government average. They hit older households harder because these are not optional costs. A COLA formula that does not match senior life is a quiet benefit cut by another name, because your check can go up on paper while your buying power still falls in real life. The minimum benefit is another major piece. The proposal would set a stronger floor for people who worked 30 years, with the transcript using 125% of the poverty level as the standard. In the example given, if the monthly poverty level is $1,330, then 125% would raise the minimum to about $1,662. That is not luxury. That is not a giveaway. That is the bare argument that someone who worked 3 decades in this country should not be pushed below survival level in retirement. If politicians cannot defend that, then they need to stop giving speeches about respecting hard work. The widow benefit change may be one of the most important parts for families. Right now, many surviving spouses get shocked after a death because they assume both Social Security checks will keep coming into the house. That is not how it works. In the example from the transcript, one spouse receives $2,500 and the other receives $2,000, giving the household $4,500 a month. But when the higher earner dies, the survivor may end up with only $2,500 instead of keeping the full household amount. That is a sudden $2,000 monthly loss after someone already lost their spouse. The bill would create a 75% combined benefit option, which would help protect widows and widowers from getting financially crushed at the worst possible moment. Disability recipients are also part of this fight. The transcript says the bill would remove the 5-month waiting period for disability benefits and soften the earnings cliff that can punish people for trying to work a little. That matters because disabled Americans are often stuck in a cruel trap. The benefit is low, the cost of living is high, and if they try to earn a small amount to survive, they can risk losing more than they gain. A system that punishes someone for trying to stay afloat is not protecting disabled people. It is cornering them. There are also protections on overpayments, field offices, staffing, and mailed statements. That may sound less dramatic, but it matters in real life. If Social Security claims it overpaid you, the transcript says the clawback would be capped at 10%. That can be the difference between surviving the month and getting wiped out by a government mistake. Protecting field offices and staffing also matters because seniors cannot protect their benefits if they cannot reach a human being, cannot get an appointment, cannot fix a record, and cannot get clear answers before a deadline passes. So here is what to do. Do not call your representative and ask a vague question like, "Do you support seniors?" Every politician will say yes to that. Ask them directly, "Do you support the Social Security 2100 Act? Yes or no?" If they say no, ask what their real plan is to stop a 22% cut. Not slogans, not fraud, waste, and abuse, not campaign language, a plan. Ask whether they support lifting the payroll tax cap. Ask whether they support taxing investment income over $400,000 for Social Security. Ask whether they support the widow benefit fix, the minimum benefit increase, the disability waiting period change, and the overpayment cap. Make them answer the actual pieces of the bill. This is the part seniors cannot outsource. If 70 million Americans are connected to Social Security, then 70 million Americans have leverage, but only if they use it. Washington moves when it feels pressure, and right now the pressure needs to come from the people whose checks are on the line. The problem is clear. The cut is the threat. The bill is one possible fix. The action is calling your senators and House representative and forcing them to say where they stand. Because if seniors stay quiet, Congress will do what it has done for decades: delay, dodge, and let regular Americans pay for the failure.